The transition from parenting little ones to parenting teenagers to shepherding and encouraging your young adult can be a bumpy one. And today's guests are here to talk to me about it. Matt and Lisa Jacobson are joining me on the podcast today. And I got to tell you guys, I loved this conversation. It's encouraging. It's going to give you hope and direction. So if you are shepherding and loving on a young adult in your life, this is going to be a fantastic podcast for you. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at VidAngel. Check them out at vidangel.com/Heidi. This is the Heidi St. John podcast. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. So Matt and Lisa, oh my goodness, it's been 100 million years. Welcome back to the show.
Good to see you again. Good to be here.
You guys are like Benjamin Button, all aging backward. It's pretty phenomenal stuff you got going on there. I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods over there.
I don't want to push it. We've got these little pills.
I love it. Hey man, if that's what we need right now. It's just a little bit of extra vitamins, right? You guys have a passion for marriage and for family, and you know we've been kicking around a long time. I've known you guys for a long time. In fact, I was trying to think before the show today how long it's been, but then I just feel old.
Nice.
I was like, the kids are grown. I mean, I can't remember if I had. I don't even think I had Sailor, Lisa, when I met you.
Being pregnant with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time.
It's crazy. What is going on? I'll tell you. We've made a lot of transitions, you know, throughout the years. We transitioned that first child, you know, that leaves the nest, especially when you're a homeschool mom, and it can be jarring. But when the last ones start to leave, it can be a little on the devastating side. And so I was thinking about this the other day because I did a podcast with a mutual friend of ours thank you, Sierra got it. It was unplugged, you guys. Oh, crazy. It's good thing you said so. I'm like, well, hey, you know what? My power cord does not have a light on it. It is plugged in, but the lights are on, but no one's home. Okay. I was talking to a friend of mine who I think you guys know, Rachel Carmen, and it's been several months ago, and we started talking about just empty nest, just really talking, you know, to moms and just the hard parts of it. And like you guys, I remember very clearly when my first one got married, and now the second one, and she was saying nothing had really prepared her for that. Like, I don't know that you can really totally be prepared for it, but I think there's a good way to do it, right? And a bad way to do it. And we want to do it well. You guys have graduated several of your children, and your kids are getting married and doing the thing now. For a lot of the people who are listening to the show have never heard you guys on my show before. Why don't you give us a brief introduction to the Jacobson family, a little bit about your story, and then let's jump into this thing about how do we shepherd adult children?
Okay, well, we have 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls, and our oldest just turned 30. And just got married. And so he was the first to send off. And just like you were saying, I remember just, you know, weeping at the airport because he went away to school. And and I told him, you know I'm crying, but I'd cry even harder if you weren't doing, you know, what God's called you to do. And now our youngest son just turned 18 this weekend and just graduated from high school. So we are absolutely right there where we're saying,
and he'll be moving out in 3 months.
And he'll be moving out. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So we all year long, I've been, you know, just preparing for that emotionally, trying to prepare. I think Matt just takes it better. He takes it in stride better.
I feel like, though, I mean, I don't know, Lisa, I feel like this is just generally harder on mothers. You know, I think, Matt, would you disagree? I feel like it's generally harder on the mother.
No, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that does make sense in a lot of ways. But for me, you know, I've really had the perspective from the very beginning that, you know, everybody's familiar with the verse, you know, children are, you know, happy is the man whose quiver is full, right? Well, what are arrows?
That was like the homeschool mantra, like,
I know, right?
The quiver.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But arrows are for shooting out into the world, you know, so we didn't raise them to keep them. We raised them to send them out. So
Good.
embracing that part of this process is just like, no, this is a 20-year, 18, whatever it is for your son or daughter. It's this process of we're doing this purposefully, and we're coming to this point that we intended all along, rather than that perspective of kind of, no, we've got to keep them.
Right.
You know, no, they've got a mission. They've got to go out. God's calling them to exercise their gifting in the world.
Yeah. And there is a tension. I mean, I think this is absolutely true. And I have felt this, with our 7 over the years, this tension that happens when it's time to go. Right. I talked to a mom. You guys are going to love this. It's going to make you laugh. I talked to a mom at a homeschool conference, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. And she just walked up to the table, and, she's relatively new homeschool mom. Her oldest kid is like 8 years old. And then she's got a little, whole little passel of little baby ducklings. And she just started crying. She goes, I just cannot even imagine when I would ever come a time when I would want my kids to go. And I'm like, oh, trust me, you'll get there. Like you'll get there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because there is this natural pulling away that happens. And I think in some cases, especially with young men and their mothers, I think I told another mom one time, I said, I think it's the sole job of an 18-year-old boy, 17, 18-year-old boy to emotionally murder his mother, because he has to like separate from her. Am I right? I mean, I feel like I might be right.
Yeah. In fact, I was just encouraging some moms that have younger boys in our church. And I was saying, if you let them go, then they will not need to pull away from them.
Oh, that is good. Lisa, that needs to be a plaque on everybody's refrigerator. If you'll just let them go, they won't feel the need to pull so hard, because that hurts. Yeah. It really can hurt.
It does. Well, it feels personal when it starts to happen, and so if you can just sort of anticipate that this is a totally natural part of the process, and believe that it's a good thing, when that beginning, just that beginning independence, that beginning, like, I'm a separate person from you. I have different thoughts. I have different ideas. I have different goals, dreams, ideas. And to look at that and say, this is going to happen. And I did try to do this with all of our children. We did that. We would talk when they were 13, when they were 12, which they can't even imagine being away when they're that age. At least most kids can't. And we say, no, the day's coming when you're going to want your own thing. Yeah. You're going to want your own.
And they say, no, Dad, I would never want to move anywhere else. Never want to do that. Yeah. Our 13-year-old has finally crossed the Rubicon. Like the last couple of months, she's been like, Mom, there's this boy. I'm like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear. Do not tell me, la, 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 la. I said, Sailor, what's the matter? I thought you were going to live with me forever. And she kind of, sorry. I'm like, that's all right. I knew this was going to happen. I told you. I'm like, Sailor, going to change your mind? No, I won't, Mom. I want to be here forever. Oh, just like Savannah and Sierra and Skylar and Spencer and Summer and Sydney wanted to be here forever. Yeah.
Yeah, but that some of those ideas, like, we can believe them intellectually. Oh yeah, absolutely. The children are going to go off one of these days. But the thing is that yes, it's not just an intellectual exercise. It's a reality. And to actually tell the children that you embrace their independence, you celebrate it. It's not something that you are going to fight against, but that you're going to try to shepherd. Because just like Lisa was saying in the beginning, a lot of parents just have this impulse to just kind of grab onto them and go, and all the right things. You've made all the mistakes, so you can avoid all the pitfalls for your child if they just listen to you. But
wait a second. That maybe that resembles me. I don't know. I mean, it's tempting though, and I think it is a skill. And I'd love to know what you guys think about this, because I feel like I tripped and fell a little bit with our first one when she got married, and she had never left our home before. So it wasn't like she'd gone away to college and then came home. She was just home, and then she met, and I have this wonderful, I think daughters are like this, right, Lisa? I have this wonderful best friend who I have trained to love the Lord, and she does. And she does the kitchen now. She does the dishes without me asking her. It's wonderful. And she calls me and she's like, hey, Mom, I'm at the coffee shop. You want me to bring home an Americano with heavy cream? Yes, girl, yes. Nice. And then just about the time that I'm like, this child is like one of my very best friends in the whole wide world, some guy comes along and benefits from all my hard work. I wake up one morning and she's just gone. They get married, right? And I come downstairs for breakfast. and everybody's around the table like we do, but that seat is empty. And I'm telling you what, dude, it wrecked me good for a couple of months. It did.
Yeah. If we could just get in front of that curve and tell ourselves, and their independence is good, and then tell your child, I love your independence. I don't chafe against it. I don't resent it. I love your independence. And we're going to get there one of these days, or we might be in that process now. I've even told the boys in the midst of them pushing back on me, because there's some serious pushback from time to time. They
what?
don't
Are you
believe all
kidding
the
me?
right things,
Are you kidding
right?
me? Come on, stop right now.
But
even in the perfect home of Matt and Lisa Jacobson, there is some pushback.
Yeah.
Stop it.
A little bit.
Stop
but
the presses.
in the midst of one of those, even within the last, I would say 6 months, I stopped right in the middle of it. I said, son, remember when we talked about the days coming when you're going to want to push back? I said, you know what? That's what this is.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love it. And I love you. And I think you're awesome.
Are you like, I love it, and then take a pillow and scream into your pillow?
Well,
like, I love it.
I don't tell them that part.
You know, just, right. You know, that's why they sell tickets to rage rooms, Matt. That's why. That's why. I do think that I wonder, you know, if there's something that we can be doing. I wrote it down to Matt, what you just said. I love that you encourage your kids to say, you know, I love your independence. We raised you to be an independent thinker. We want you to find the way that God has for you and walk in it, right? That's what we've invested the last, 18 years of your miserable, no, I'm just kidding. That's what we've invested, right? All of our time and energy into is to watch you walk with the Lord. Yeah. And yet I still believe, like I said, I felt like I stumbled into it with Savannah. I did a little bit better with Skylar. Sierra got married at 29, right? So Savannah's 32 now, and Sierra's 30.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
And so the three of the kids that are married, I feel like as I get a little older and I get a little bit more used to, okay, we're doing this now. I feel like I'm getting better at it. But just like we kind of stumble into parenting, I think we also stumble into helping our adult children, right? And I remember telling Savannah, I've actually never done this before, so have grace for me because I'm new here.
I was just thinking that. I think saying that out loud to your kids is really helpful from time to time, just reminding them, just so you know, I've never done this before. Yeah. And like I just flew back to Virginia to spend some time with my daughter and son-in-law and their new baby. And I just had to tell them straight, I want to do this well. I want to be respectful. I don't want to be in the way. I want to be helpful, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So when I, offend, when I get in the way, then you just need to tell me because I won't know,
Yeah.
So I appreciate having those conversations really openly. It gives them a chance to go, oh, we've got a source of communication. We can actually say, hey, you need to go home now. Or, or what we really need right now is for you to hold the baby so we can have a date or whatever it is. So I think that's also just like good communication.
Yeah.
I just think it's good for all of us to ask ourselves, do we actually respect our children, our adult children, as separate entities from us?
That's good.
And do they know that? It's a thing to speak into their lives. No, I respect you. I am not going to just barge in and tell you the way I think it needs to be. I'm going to respect you as a young woman. I'm going to respect you as a young man. I've made all kinds of mistakes in that regard. And what I always say to the kids every time I do that, and they go, Dad, and I say, son, just remember one thing. You're 12 and you always will be. And we laugh about it.
It's true.
Because that's how they feel. Like they're treating me like I'm 12.
And
our daughter's same thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing, do I really actually respect them as an individual separate from me? And you know what? When your kids know that, you don't have to grasp anything in the relationship. They know that you respect them. Well, that person that didn't think you had anything to offer, maybe when they were 17 or, I don't know, different with each kid. But when they get a little older and you haven't been grasping and you do respect them, wow, who's calling? Hey, what's up? What do you think about this? So the very thing you want, you cannot have by not letting them go, by not having that perspective that you're independent. I'm celebrating you on your journey. The very thing you want, that relationship, you get that if you don't grasp, if you don't hang on, if you don't think of them as yours, but rather as a separate entity going on in the world. If your kids know that you respect them, you've taken this light years steps ahead in the relationship that you're going to have as adults.
So good. So you guys lay it out for me in practical terms. So it's one thing for me to say to my child, I respect you. It's another thing to demonstrate that. So like a scenario might be that your child calls you, let's say, your 21-year-old kid calls you and they say, Mom, I'm going to get a tattoo on my face. And then
Yeah, we're not doing that. Do you have a different example?
I mean, really,
those really cute reels on Instagram. Just go ahead and send them like some passive aggressive reels.
Passive aggressive. It's true though, because they're going to make decisions that you maybe wouldn't have made,
Yes.
and maybe you would have a strong feeling about it. But I'll tell you, Dennis Rainey, I think I was telling you guys before the show a long time ago, I was talking to him about it. And I'm, at that point, all of our kids were still home. Obviously, his kids were grown. He had grandchildren. And I'm just like, how do you do that, dude? Like, tell me how you do. And he goes, well, I have a little trick. My wife and I, we ask a lot of questions. And one of the questions we like to ask is, how's that working for you? Or how'd you get to that decision? He said, we ask more questions when they're growing up. We offer a lot, right? Here's what we think you should do. Or actually, you're 8 years old. Here's what you will be doing. Then it's, what do you think you should do? Yeah. And then it's, how did you come to that decision?
Yeah.
So when you have, hypothetically, I can't imagine any of your kids have ever disagreed with you on any point ever. But if they ever did, hypothetically, what would be a way for moms and dads, and I know that there are teenagers listening to this too now, because I feel like this is kind of it feels like to me, it should be like a melody, like a harmony and a melody. And we want the teens to know also, go easy on your parents. Maybe they've never done this before either, right? Yeah. But let's start with the parents. What do you say? I mean, what are some ways that parents, when your child comes to you, and I'm not talking about, life-altering decisions like I'm going to have an affair with a married man. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm just saying things we disagree with, right? How do we shepherd and cheerlead and mentor at that point?
I think that, and you touched upon this a little bit earlier, but I think that allowing them to go on a journey, I think as parents, but especially homeschool parents, are the worst.
Boy, it's true.
I just want to save you from all the mistakes I made, all the mistakes you could even think of making. I can save you from all of it.
And all the mistakes I made parenting you.
Right.
All of that. So our hearts are in the right place, let's face it. Right, yes. However, Matt and I often remind each other, they're on a journey and we can't shortcut the journey. I mean, we can help to fall into the deepest pits, I hope, right? But you have to let them as well. And so it might even be something like, let's say I have a daughter who makes a choice that wants to wear something or go somewhere that we have serious questions about. Like, is this wise? Is this safe? And that's hard because you want to go, no, you cannot go to that event, Portland.
Right. I don't care if you're 27, stay home.
Exactly. So you're right on about, then you get to switch to asking questions and not with and I already have the answer, dear, just really going, what do you think, what do you think the consequences might be? Or what do you think how are other people going to perceive you in this situation or whatever it is, and literally listen to their answers.
Boy, that's tough too. When you've already got the answer in your head, it's hard to listen.
Right. But if you're not sincere, then it doesn't really work, because then they know you're just playing them.
I can think of a couple of very direct examples with our own kids. So we have, if you've got lots of kids, you've got one kid that has his own set of drums.
Absolutely true.
He's marching too, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So, and I've never been a long, well, that's not true. I had really long hair when I was a kid. But anyway, but we had one son, and you'll laugh at this in terms of relative to the homeschool community, right? We had one son who decided, you know what? I really like that Viking weave. It's shaved on the side, but it's a Viking, long hair, Viking weave on the side and a ponytail, but a really funky weave over the top.
It fits in with our vibe. You get it.
Yeah. So You know what? We just thought, you know what? I wouldn't do that.
But you do you.
But he asked Mom. He said, "Hey, Mom, would you braid my hair this certain way?" And she totally did it. And he's very strong, and
He's a Viking.
he's a Viking. And
Why I hear the Veggie Tales of Vikings. Like I hear it in my head now.
yeah, the Christian Viking. Anyway, but the thing is that here I've got this son walking around town with braided hair and a ponytail, and people who know me go, "That's your son, that man?" I said, "Yeah, the one with the ponytail, isn't that awesome?" And I tell him, I love it. I said, "I think it's totally great."
Yeah.
And you know what? And there's no Bible verse that says a little bit longer hair sends you to heaven. And I think we can freak out about things that you don't need to freak out about.
So true. Pick your battles.
Braided hair and a ponytail. I mean that's just not exactly mainstream homeschool. And then another time, a daughter wanted just a purple streak in her hair. And I go, cool. And I took a big picture of her with a purple streak, and we just go, hey, like what? Does she have purple hair today? No, she's actually a really responsible businesswoman and does really well. Right? And then another example would be, we had a son who had worked hard and made a lot of money, he had a lot of cash in the bank. He goes, I just want a sports car. I want to buy a sports car. And so he wanted me to go with him to buy this car, and I'm thinking, well, how about the Yugo? No, not really Yugo, but anyway, just like
and you're the dad, and you was like, how about you save the money and you put it toward a house?
Totally. And so I just said, we were there, and I said, well, here's the thing, son. I think you would look amazing driving that car. That is a very cool looking car.
That is a chick magnet, if ever there was one.
And I said, and here's what I can guarantee you. I said, you're going to drive that off the lot. You're going to own it for 3 months, and you're going to lose thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said, so I just want you to know that that's what I'm saying. I think that's reality. And he goes, I know, Dad, but I just want to do it. I said, well, it's your money.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, I'm just going to think it's awesome. But just know that that's going to happen. You're going to lose money on that car.
You're going to lose money on the car. Yeah.
Just kills us.
But he went ahead and bought it. And I said, dude, you look so good driving that thing. That is a great looking car. And he did. It was. Yeah. And
for 3 months.
And then he goes, you know what? He goes, this thing is really small. And he went and got a dog. Like sports car and dog. And that didn't work out very well. And then he didn't pick anybody. He realized, oh my goodness, there's no room in this thing. He got rid of it and lost
thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Now but I was a positive part of the process, right?
Right. And that's the difference.
Yes. Yeah, you can be a boat anchor. Now he runs around in holy tennis shoes, shirts that have so many holes in them, they're falling off him, but he's saving his money because he's not wasting his money like that again, right? But anyway, but that's the thing, we tend to think as parents, oh, this one decision is like the one life decision that is going to set the course of his life, in the wrong direction. And just relax, it's just long hair. Yeah. And now he's cut his hair and it's short and he likes it. What I'm saying, we put too much weight on this individual decision as if it's the end of the world, and sometimes we don't like the way it reflects on us or whatever.
Boy.
You know what? How about just care about the heart of your child?
Isn't that the thing?
And play the long game with your kids. Mm-hmm. Play the long game.
That is the thing. I think, I was talking with Jay. I wish he knew you guys were on the show. He'd love to come in and say hi to you. I was talking with him the other day just about, the trials and tribulations and the triumphs of raising 7 children and all the emotions and all the different personalities and all the, the ways that, our kids express themselves as adults, the things that they love to do and all the things. And it occurred to us that and we see this really in the homeschool movement a lot, right? That the pride of life, this reflection, like our child makes, a wrong decision, or maybe they don't look on the outside the way that we would want them to because we want it to reflect what we see on the inside. Mm-hmm. Right. And the Lord had really convicted us a long time ago, like, dude, that's a sin problem in your life, Mom and Dad. Like that's actually about you. So take a good long look in the mirror. How does God our Father feel? When he sees us, he's looking at Heidi St. John, and it's the equivalent of, Heidi shaved her head. Now she's wearing a mohawk and my shorts are too short and the whole thing. And God's
we are waiting for that image.
Yes, you'll be waiting a long time. But that the Lord is still like, that's my girl, Heidi.
Yep.
Like, I love her. That's my kid. I love her. He would never God would never turn his back on us that way, and he's not embarrassed of us either. I mean, he sent his son, right, to die for us while we were still shaking our fist at him. And I think, boy, as parents, we can learn a lot from just the Lord and the way that he loves us. I want to touch on something else here. I think, Matt, you can speak to this. I mean, obviously, Lisa, I want to hear what you have to say too. But a long, long time ago, you guys know my friend Steve and Jane Lambert. And a long, long time ago, he was talking to me about, empty nesting and how he was trying to get his wife ready for those years. And he kind of saw that they were coming, the homeschool years were kind of coming to a close. Homeschool moms really pour their whole lives into their children. And we don't often talk about the very loud quiet that's left in a home when our kids leave, especially when you've had really bustling, like we have, really bustling, loud, busy households. And he said he really told Jane, his wife, he encouraged her. Well, told is the wrong word. He encouraged her, find something that you love to do, whether it's writing or, whatever. And of course, Jane then wrote the curriculum. It's been, read by gazillions of people. She wrote 5 in a row. It came out of that season of their life as she was coming to the end of her homeschool. But Matt, talk to the dads who are listening to this right now. I mean, and there are a lot of young families that listen to this. And I really wish that I would have paid a little bit more attention when my kids first started leaving. Because I always tell people, if you had a kid every 18 months, guess what? They're going to leave your house every 18 months, right? They're going to leave as fast as they came in. And we don't think about that. When, I'm really into addition, right? The subtraction thing is not that fun.
Yeah.
How can a husband, just tenderly prepare his wife for the very loud quiet that's coming?
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say this. We thought that when we became empty nesters, that, our lives would be really quiet. And what we've discovered is that our children actually reach back in.
That's true.
In a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. Now, if you're the parent, if you were the grasping parent, then your children won't do that. But so that's just one thing in terms of celebrate the going, even though it's hard. Celebrate who they are becoming, because that gives them the freedom and the safety to turn around and reach back in. Okay, so that's just one thing. Don't do the bear hug. Don't do the hover. Don't hold on, but celebrate it. And so that's one side of it. And then the other side of it is in terms of just encouraging the tremendous gifting that that your wife has. What's an application of that? And so Lisa has been writing for many years, and then I think got to a place where she was just too busy to do it and made a transition. But now you're kind of transitioning back into that, aren't you? Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great topic to bring up, because especially, again, homeschool moms, we tend to put everything into our children and into homeschooling. And then all of a sudden you've got what? And I try to encourage moms to make sure that remember you're a person. Yes, you're a mom. Yes, you're a homeschooling teacher, or just a parent, but you're a person, and don't neglect that person.
Yeah, don't lose her. You don't want to lose her. Yeah.
No. And I think this is also part of that. You don't want your kids, your adult kids, your older growing kids, to look at you as needy. I don't want my kids to feel like I am needy. I need you to come by. I need you to fill this hole, because that's not healthy. That's not the way God designed it. I mean, yes, they bless me. Yes, I'm glad to have them around in my life and in touch, but that's not where I'm supposed to be. So some of those things, making those transitions before, again, don't wait until you.
Yeah, don't wait. Yeah.
But start taking lessons, start developing interests or hobbies. And Matt and I just started ballroom dance lessons, actually.
Get out of town. That is so fun.
It's been very fun.
Dude.
But do new things. Don't just keep looking to the past. Oh, I remember when, and oh, we used
Dude,
to.
right. That is hard, isn't it? Like I
It is.
don't I think, I am actually not much. My kids say that I'm not very sentimental, but the thing it's not that I'm not sentimental. It's I don't want to get stuck. And I
Mhm.
know because I've seen it as we're moving. I cleaned out our big family schoolroom the other day. And dude, that was murder. I gotta tell you, cleaning it
Yeah.
all out and
Speaking of not being sentimental, but anyway,
oh,
what?
right,
What? Say?
exactly.
Yes.
It
Oh,
was
wow.
murder. Well, my kids are like, "You're not sentimental," and I said, I don't want to get stuck." And I got stuck, like in the library when I was cleaning out this school books and then all of our family photo albums, and I started kind of looking through. And I want to be. I think there's a reason why the Bible advises us. We forget what's behind. Not that you forget, but that you don't dwell on it, and we press forward toward heaven, which is the goal. Like we're
Yeah.
becoming more, hopefully, becoming more like Jesus. And this was a season, and it was a beautiful season, and the season is over. And we can
Yes.
rejoice that we had it, but not get stuck and sort of pine away because I think we forget the hard things too, right? I don't want to go I don't want to go back to the up all night and waking up to, Savannah called me the other day and I was like, "How was your night?" She goes, "Mom, 2 a.m, no joke. Like Noah started projectile vomiting and,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm a
Yeah.
sympathy puker. So now I'm puking too." And I was like, "Oh, hey, I don't miss that." Someone asked me,
You're
don't you miss the dirty house?
right.
No, I don't. But
Yeah.
like there's some things I don't miss, but that's kind of important,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like I love what you said. Like you don't want to like cling to that past. You got to be able to move forward.
And you said that there's some young people that also listen to your show, and I was thinking what I would tell them was, you actually can have a voice in your parents' life,
Mm.
but especially maybe your mom, and just say, Mom, you're such a good writer. Have you ever thought about writing? Or, you used to love horses. Do you ever think about getting back on a horse or whatever it is? And really, you don't realize it, but you can be a huge encouragement to your parent who might not have forgotten that they were once had other things that were also loves and something that filled their heart, and soul. So,
And the other thing that I think that gets lost also in this whole business of I now have nothing because my kids are gone. The fact of the matter is that the homeschool mothers of children that have moved on are a tremendous force of power
So
in
true.
the church.
Come
Mm.
on.
They have so much to give. They have
Yes.
so much to offer, and we live in a world where so many people have just really disintegrating, extended family relationships, and they're just not connected. And here they are alone in the world with their young little family.
yes.
You have so much you can offer. You can come in and be such a blessing in the church to these families. And there's ministry everywhere. So the thing is if somebody wants to fill their, maybe your kids moved away and maybe you're in that, because there is kind of a transition, as we've seen,
Yeah.
season where there's a few years there where, I don't need you so much, but then it kind of comes back in spades. That's been our experience. And the thing is that, in those years, or for those who feel like their kids really are out and about in a long way and don't really have an opportunity to interact with them that much, you have so much to offer. If you make yourself available, there are people that
So
are just
good.
begging for help.
Yeah.
And what a spiritual blessing you can be in the lives of those people.
Yeah, I taught on this at a conference a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about the empty nest and telling these moms at the end, like your nest isn't. Two things I want to end on with you guys. First of all, your nest isn't actually empty if you're still married, right? You've still got your spouse there with you, which is so precious, and also you've spent a lifetime now feathering your nest. And making building a house into a home and establishing a family. And now God has you in a season where you can help someone else feather their nest. And what does it look like to help another family? Guys, get in there. What does it look like to help another dad establish his family, right? And we have a tremendous opportunity to be able to do that. And I love that you guys have pointed that out. You guys have talked extensively about marriage. I know it's really a passion of yours as it is of mine. How many years have you been married now?
32.
That's what I was going to say.
Matt, listen, Matt, I'm just going to give you a pro tip here. Whenever Jay can't remember, if someone says, "How many years have you been married?" and he stutters, he will always say, "Not long enough."
Ah.
You know what?
That's the
It doesn't matter how
standard
old you are, you
answer.
can still learn new.
Yeah, still right. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm a learner.
I want to end on that. I think a little bit today. Just let's talk about marriage for a few minutes because it is the primary relationship in the home. I've been teaching on this for years and years, even when my kids were little, because I came from a broken home and I watched what happens when marriages disintegrate. It really injures children.
Yep.
And when you get on an airplane, I fly, almost every weekend, and that, ridiculous speech they tell you, in the unlikely event of a loss of cabin
Yep.
pressure, right? And the mask is going to fall. They say secure your mask before you help a younger passenger because they know that if you don't do that, that younger passenger is a goner by default.
Yep.
And so hopefully, parents who are listening to this are realizing your kids are not the primary relationship in the home. The marriage is. Talk to us a little bit about marriage and why it's so important.
Well, everybody wants their kids to love and respect them. You want your young kids, your teenagers, your 20s, your 30s. We want our children to love and respect us. If you want your kids to love and respect you, love and respect your spouse.
That's true.
It's just so critical. We think that we're going to just minister so much to our kids about, man, I got a problem over here with this relationship. You know what? The kids are just watching that, and they're either deciding, hey, this is what we want to pursue and become, or this is what we want to avoid. And the fact of the matter is the scriptures could hardly be clearer on the priority that we are to place on our relationship with each other. So the question really becomes this. There's a lot of different kinds of Christians out there, but the question is this: do I want to be a biblical Christian? Because that's not about me having my special relationship with the Lord that is separate from my spouse. That is about me being obedient to the call of God on my life. And so if I'm going to be a biblical Christian, my wife is going to be a first priority. And a lot of people think in marriage that they can just have a wonderful, close relationship with the Lord, but not so much with their spouse. The Bible says if you have that perspective, you're walking in darkness. The Bible says if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. That's how we know that we're walking in the light, is we're in fellowship. And that's just not about that person you bump into at the church lobby.
That's good.
That's your spouse. And you want to have a fun, wonderful time after the kids go. It's there. This wonderful person that you used to date before you got married. That person, yeah, it's there for you.
Yeah, I think our kids love that we date, that we have fun. Like they love it. They love hearing our love story, how we met. The married kids love doing double dates with us because there is peace between us, because we have invested in one another and our relationship. So you wouldn't think about it, but just the blessings abound when you do that hard work of making each other a priority and choose to love, choose to work it through.
Yeah.
Choose to make each other a priority. It's literally a choice to make your spouse a priority at all stages of your marriage.
Yeah.
But, when you get a little older, you can still have that same wonderful, close, loving relationship. But it doesn't happen because you fell in a hole backwards. It happens because you purpose.
Lots of bad things happen when you fall in holes backwards.
Because you purpose to cultivate that.
Yeah.
And nothing is easier than just trying to focus on what says love to the other person.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so, I think too, and Jay and I talk about this a lot. We're going to be celebrating our 35th anniversary this summer, and I am having more fun with him. We have this entire lifetime now of shared memories and these children, these beautiful children that we share, and all the mistakes we've made. Like we get to look back and go, wow, I don't want to do that again, right? You're just going back. But when you choose to honor that other person and love them with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, it really is a blessing into the next season of your life. And so people need to remember, gosh, love your people well, love your husband, love your wife. These relationships are eternal in nature, and God blesses them. If people are interested in finding you guys, you're all over the internet. Where's the best place for them to connect with you? You guys have books. You've written books on marriage and parenting, and you're just prolific authors and entrepreneurs. Where do people find you?
Well, you're going to go?
Well, our books are on Amazon, and they're the 100 Ways to Love Your Husband, 100 Ways to Love Your Wife. We have marriage devotionals for him and her, and what we like to really share is practical ways to show love to each other. So it's not the big theoretical kind of book. It's really more of a, okay, on a Tuesday, what does this look like?
Right,
So
right.
that's kind of our specialty.
It's laundry day. What does it look like? Help with the laundry.
If a couple is looking for a devotional to do together, it's a 2-volume devotional. It's called Loving Your Husband Well and Loving Your Wife Well. Basically walking through scripture. And Lisa wrote about that scripture from her perspective. I wrote from mine to the men. And they can do that together. And that's a great resource. But to find us, the fact is we've taken a bit of a break and we've been off the social media for a bit. We are coming back with our podcast. We do have, I don't know. Well, compared to you, like we've got this minuscule little pod called A Faithful Life, and we're getting ready to come back at it. We've taken
Well, when you get it going, holler at me. I'd love to come on.
We would love that.
Wow, that's amazing. We'd love to have you for sure.
Well, Matt and Lisa Jacobson, I'm so thankful that we met all those years ago. Love what the Lord's doing in your life. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next few years ahead. Good things are coming.
Awesome. Well, you and Jay need to take a rest. So come on and
I'm trying.
Ranch Guest House.
Okay. I'll talk to him. All right. We're trying. All right. Hey, we love you guys. Thanks for coming on the show.
Love you. Thank you. Thanks. Good to be with you. Bye.
For more information on my guest today, you can head on over to HeidiSt.John.com/podcast. You guys know the drill. I'm going to link back to all things Matt and Lisa Jacobson in the show notes today. I hope you guys have been encouraged. I know I have been encouraged. We need the reminder. Love your people well, you guys. God gave them to you for a purpose and for a season. Thanks for listening today, and I will see you back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.